All right. So yes, Terence. My name's Terence. You've probably heard that enough today. Company name is called Strategic Corporation. Today I'm here to speak about the simple secret to creating wealth through business, and why some business owners build themselves a job and never really get free from their business. Can anyone relate to this topic a little bit? Yeah, not enough hands going up. Let's. Maybe I'm in the wrong place. All right. Who is this guy? Nadi's just spoken a little bit about me. I call myself a business growth strategist now because no one wants to speak to business coaches anymore. And I specialise in helping business experts to build wealth through their business. Okay, so I live here on the Mornington Peninsula with my wife, who's over there, and 5 children, as you've heard about. I'm not here to talk about me today. First things first. There's some workbooks on your table. You're going to need those. So if you can get them open, pens ready, and we're going to do a bit of this is a bit more of the interactiveness that I promised you at the beginning. This is probably labelled slightly different in your book, but I call it the paradigm shift. And it's when I deal with entrepreneurs and business owners, ultimately they fall into one of 4 categories. All right. There's this one here called the job owner. All right. Anyone sometimes feel like, maybe you own a business, but it kind of feels like you just bought yourself a job? Yeah? Cool. And as a job owner, any ideas what you might do as a job owner? Everything. Yes, absolutely, right? But generally, the technical work, anything needs to be done, anything from sweeping the floors to the stuff that you do. As a mechanic, it might be mechanical stuff. As a lawyer, it might be the legal stuff. Cool? And what we really need to do to shift upwards from here is introduce a lot more leverage into business, right? I'm going to go through this fairly quickly because unlike everyone else, I've included way too much in my presentation. So to get to that, you then get to the opportunity, what I call the opportunity owner, who is essentially kind of, maybe you could call them project managing their business. So maybe starting to, generally they can be identified by being time poor, systems poor, all that type of thing. And the business is very, very reliant on them still, but they realise there's an opportunity for the business to grow bigger than them. Does that make sense? All right. And from there, what you really need is a really solid, clear vision and a plan on how to get to the next level. And then I simply call the next level business owner. Once you've got that clear vision on where the business is going, the clear 3 to 5 year kind of vision, and start getting things in place, like all your employment law stuff. Probably a lot of the stuff that we've spoken about today, all that stuff should be definitely in place by this stage. Org structure, and really have a clear path planned for your business. And also have teams that can start to run independently of you. So you don't feel like you're constantly in there trying to do everything for everyone and having to micromanage them. But your business would still be at this point in a bit of what I call a relationship of reliance, where you're reliant on the business and the business is very much reliant on you. Okay? If you're not following me at any stage, put your hand up and I'll answer a question. And to get to the next stage, what we're really looking at is separation, right? Something that I call independence from the business. So it's separating you from the business. And then we get to this top piece here, which I call the asset owner, okay? And this is where we're really starting to gain a lot of independence from the business. And different to the job owner and the opportunity owner, where what you do in the business is essentially the product, okay? At the top level here, just above, oh, hang on, I've got this really cool thing that I haven't used yet. There we go. Right, that line there is at that top level, you want the business becomes the product, right? And I don't know how many of you are familiar with that concept, but the business starts to become the product. So you end up with a saleable asset at the end of the day. Is that making sense? I've got a few blank faces, but I'm going to continue. All right. It allows you, so once you've got you'll have an engaged team, all the right systems and structure in place, saleable asset that you're able to exit if you want to, and you're really starting to utilise, so again, in this bottom section here it's all about personal exertion. It's all about how much effort you can put into the business to be able to get something back out again. And at the top section here, it becomes a lot more about the business power. The business is starting to power everything rather than you having to power it yourself, right? Rather than you feeling like you have to push the thing constantly. And more importantly, at this level, we're looking at significant kind of cash flow, profit, and capital growth is another thing that I think we don't often think about. When we think about a business, we think, well, it's going to give us an income, but the real capital growth that we can get. Cool? So I'm not sure of the clapping thing, but I mean, I'd love to see maybe just a show of hands who thinks that they're maybe still at the job owner point at the moment. Who identifies with that? Okay. And opportunity owners? Cool. Business owners? Although technically we all are. Asset owners? Okay. Cool. Let's talk about some of the challenges in business. Okay? I don't think I've got any, but there are notes pages, and right at the back as well, there's an insights and actions page. So any of the big insights you've got from any of the speakers today, you can put them in there, and you can give yourself some action items. I normally go 1 to 3 action items out of any event that I go to, and at least you've got something to implement at the end of it all. Cool? So when it comes to being a business owner or an entrepreneur, sometimes it can just feel like you're doing twice the work for half the pay, right? And I think there's some quote from somebody that says business entrepreneurs are the only people who are willing to go and work twice as hard or twice as many hours for half the pay. And not enough profit. So let's talk about that. Has anyone, and Nadia can probably correct me here, anyone ever had that problem where your P&L doesn't match your bank account, right? It's like, okay, I look like I got profit, but I just don't have that money in the bank. Cool. And you just feel like you own a job. That's one of the challenges, right? Instead of having what I call a wealth-creating asset. And the problem is, if that all continues, you've just got to stay on the treadmill, right? And it's not fun. Like at some point in time, it's nice to be able to switch that treadmill off, I reckon. Here's what we want to kind of, I want to give you some tools today that you can take away that's going to help you to get some of these things. So hard work to pay off. We all put, like if you're an entrepreneur or business owner, there's a lot of work at the front end. You put that work in and you really want it to pay off at the end of it all, right? More profit, we've spoken about that a little bit, and more growth and faster growth. And this is pretty cool. This is what I was talking about, transferring to business power rather than personal exertion, is that your business starts working harder for you rather than you just working harder for your business all the time. All right, so a few big keys of what we're going to discuss today. Firstly, in any business, no matter what the business, there are some activities which will have a much higher impact to the business, to the profitability, to the rate of growth, to the sustainability, all that stuff. There are some activities which will have a much higher impact than other activities, right? Anyone familiar with the 80-20, the Pareto principle? Yep, so, okay. I might have to explain it in another presentation. But it's all about focusing on those critical few activities that are going to have the absolute highest impact to your business and really being aware of what they are. And instead of just creating a job for ourselves, we want the business to become instrumental in creating us real, tangible, lasting wealth. All right? So we want to create wealth, not just work. This is a really key principle. I mean, when we're building something, not everyone, and in fact, when I ask people, do you have a plan to sell your business? Most people that I speak with don't have a plan to sell their business, right? And that's not what this is about. But building your business as a saleable asset means that you actually build it in a different way. So building it to sell means that you're actually, you're doing things completely different and you are actually building an asset. Now, a great mentor of mine once, I'll never forget, he once said to me, he said that the business that you can sell is also the business that you'll want to keep, right? So it's not just about building it to be able to sell it, it's going to be a much better business if you actually want to keep it. All right, This is the part of the interactive part. I just want to, like, a bit of feedback. What's been helpful for you out of everything that we've spoken about so far? Anything? Yes?
Building a business to sell that you want to keep.
Perfect. Yeah, business you want to sell, business you want to keep. Yep.
Focusing on high impact.
High impact. Yeah. Critical few high impact activities need to be in our focus every day. That's not to say that we can focus on them 100% of the time. Definitely not, but they need to be within our focus. Anyone else?
Just the idea that I'm running a job, not a business, is a bit of an eye-opener.
Yeah, okay. And I think most people, I didn't realise it for years. Right? I've been running businesses for well over 20 years now. I had no idea most of the time that, hey, I'm just running a job. I'm not actually running a real business, right? Until I got to the point where I could actually sell a business, and that gave me a lot of independence. Anything else? All right, cool. Let's talk about what an asset is, okay? This is a really cool quote. I'm crediting this to Warren Buffett, but I couldn't find it. Like, I Googled it, and I'm like, I'm sure I heard this from Warren Buffett, right? But anyway, I can probably claim it now because it's not attributed to him anywhere. So there are two types of assets, those that you own and those that own you, okay? So what we're not going to talk about today is the stuff that you put on your loan application that just has some sort of a value. That is not the assets that we're dealing with today, right? I've created some rules around what we're going to talk about, and there are some things that we want our assets to actually do. So the asset model, you'll see it in your book. You're welcome to take notes and copy this down. The asset is what we're trying to achieve here, okay? And there are three main things that contribute to being an asset. You want the ability to leverage this thing, okay? So assets, if you buy, if we're talking about bricks and mortar, I just want to clarify as well, we're not just talking about bricks and mortar assets. IP is an asset, a really good team is an asset. There are lots of things that I'm calling assets that are not your traditional bricks and mortar assets, whether they be tangible, intangible, it doesn't matter, okay? And one really good example for me of an asset was in one of the previous businesses that I owned was our YouTube channel was an amazing marketing asset, which literally we could measure that it was bringing us in thousands of dollars worth of income every day, right? Without us having to do much at all. I mean, obviously we built it out over time, but it became a real asset for that business. So there's three things that we need. We need the ability to leverage, so leverageability, profitability, right? So the speedboat, I don't see that as being an asset, right? Or helping you to build assets, right? It's a nice thing to have, and you can definitely put on a loan application. It's got a value to it, but for the purposes of this, that's not what we're talking about. And saleability, the ability to sell a thing, okay? And that could mean as an entire thing. So you can think about your business, building your business as an asset so that the entire thing is saleable, but also, right, the assets within that business will contribute to the saleability of your business, all right? And what we're really looking at is wealth contribution. So quick check-in, is everyone picking up what I'm putting down? Is it all making sense? Yeah? Cool. All right, so I know what you're thinking, like, it's nice to sit here and talk about assets, right? But what does that mean? And, someone has to do the work, right? You've got a business, you need that work to be done, right? Otherwise, your business starts to, you just feel like, well, my business is not going to be profitable if somebody's not doing the work. And sometimes that somebody's just going to be me, right? So I built this thing called the Wealth Maximizer. I'll try to, if I go too fast, let me know. Let's do this. On the left-hand side there, you look at effective hourly rate. Who knows what effective hourly rate is in the room? Okay. There's a calculator on a couple of pages ahead that is basically, which says effective hourly rate is the amount that you earn, right, divided by the number of hours that you're working. Really, really simple, okay? That's what we call your effective hourly rate, right? And for most, I've measured effective hourly rate for some entrepreneurs and business owners, and it's a lot worse than having a job, okay? But let's talk about that later. And on the other axis, we're looking at time, okay? Here's the deal. As a job owner, this is what happens, right? Your effective hourly rate stays fairly linear. It might go up over time, right? For the purposes of this, it's fairly linear, right? You get an income every week, every month, every year, and it's relatively linear. As an asset owner, this is how it starts out, okay? It starts out down here, because when you start on the journey of trying to build an asset, your average return on an asset is much, much, much lower, okay? But as you build assets, this is what starts to happen, okay? And the key is that, yes, you need to get the job done, but the key is that you also, unless, like, who here wants to earn more money? Anyone? If you have your hand down, right? Right. Whose actions are aligned with that goal on a daily basis? Okay. Well, my argument is, right, that those actions need to be building assets, okay? So this asset here might be an amazing marketing funnel or something like that, right? Something that's really bringing you a lot of new customers through without you having to do all the work. So that's asset one. The key is here that within our business, we can build our business out as an asset, but within our business, inside our business, we can build it out as a series of multiple assets, all right? And this is the way I think about it. So when we build our businesses, I run different programs, and when we build out businesses, we look at building out assets within the business that build it up as an asset. And so what happens then is you end up with a second asset that's helping you to do the work. And each time you do this, right, your business gets stronger, your life gets easier, and all those things, all those challenges and things like that start to change. But here's the really cool thing, okay? When you're running your business and you're building out multiple assets, what actually happens is this, okay? Because the speed at which those assets are actually providing you a return, right, is increased. It's all cumulative. You're adding all those things together, all right? And so if you wanted to average it out, it's going to increase your effective hourly rate. It's going to increase the amount of money that you get paid every day, every week, every month, every year. Making sense?
Can you give an example of assets, like a few different examples of?
Yeah, so I think of assets as, well, anything, as I said, leverageability, profitability, and saleability, right? So if they add to the saleability of the business, right? Now, so we're not talking about the accounting. I know Nadia's probably got some questions, but we're not talking about the accounting version of an asset. But an asset to me, your team is an asset. Your team is going to add to the leverageability, profitability, and saleability of your business. I've never seen anybody sell a business for $1 million plus who doesn't have a team, who can actually help them to deliver their products and services, right? Like I said, really good example was that I built out a simple YouTube channel for a previous business I had, right? And in the end, what it was doing was generating a consistent business. And I had one particular video that, it was half an hour video. It was a how-to video, probably the most boring video you've ever seen. Most people wouldn't sit through it, but it's had 180,000 views or some crazy amount of views, right? And when I think about that, that's 90,000 hours of attention, right? How much would it cost you to buy $90,000 of attention, right? So I think of that as an asset because it was leverageable. It was definitely profitable. We could measure it on the bottom line, right? And it added to the salability of our business. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. That answers the question? Go. Yep.
So would you mean like each of those increments is like if you've got a system or a way that you work for a project and you go back to the drawing board and you look at the steps and then you modify it so that next time it runs more streamlined?
Sure. And depending what the project is,
Okay.
for sure. Yeah.
I just wasn't sure whether that's what those assets
Yeah, so I would build those out. So one of my, generally I run, in a 12-week period, I'll run 3 to 5 big projects, okay? 3 to 5 major projects that I want to get completed. And they'll go in as assets into the business, basically, all right? And so they're the things that I want to be focusing on because I want the things that are going to give me the long-term leverageability, profitability, and salability for my business. Is that making sense? Cool. All right, got a cool little exercise because we're going to run out of time fast, and I don't want to keep you guys, I don't want to keep everyone here late just because of me. So, effective hourly rate focuser. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. Sorry, leverage focuser. About 30 seconds. There's an EHR calculator. Put in your current income here. Put in how many hours you worked last week. So your income for last week, how many hours you worked last week. Nobody else needs to see this. I'm not going to ask you for it, right? You get to keep it. It's all yours. And then calculate your EHR value. Really, really simple, right? Do that for 30 seconds. Go over music for about 30 seconds. And then a little goal of where you want it to be, right? In, say, 12 months.
Do you use gross or net income?
Net. You can use either. I guess as long as your EHR and your EHR goal are based on the same principles. Does that make sense? Looking all right? All right. Let's see if we can get this last bit in. I want to show you in this leverage focuser here, right? This little model here. There's 4 main pieces, right? So if you have a look under here, this is talking about the stuff that you've done last week, auditing your activities from last week, okay? This is going to help you to figure out where you're sitting, right? There's some activities, if you have a look down the bottom there, where you're surviving. And then at the top, it's growing, okay? Over on the left-hand side there, it's low impact activities, activities that don't have a really huge impact to the let's say, fast, sustainable growth of your business, and high impact activities, okay? Here's the deal. When we're operating in the bottom left-hand corner there, they're generally activities like, if you're a business owner, admin, right? Unless your business is actually supplying admin services. If you're doing your own admin and bookkeeping, generally, that's going to be a really, really low impact activity that's only going to keep you surviving. And in fact, it might be worth a lot less than your effective hourly rate anyway, in a lot of cases. The next piece, so bottom right, is we're really looking at activities that keep you surviving that will never get you above, that will never really boost your effective hourly rate up a lot, which is generally, as a job owner, it's generally the technical work that you do. Maybe the stuff that I term it to be on the tools, but it's the stuff that, if you're a lawyer, it's doing the legal stuff, right? What we really want to do is start to stay above the line, okay? And even low impact activities above the line that will keep us growing. One really good example of this, and I never forget going through an example with an electrician that I was working with, and he hated quoting. And he hated quoting because he said, I just don't make any money quoting. Like, it's just such a chore, right? Well, we went through what his effective hourly rate was quoting. It was 10 times what he was making on the tools. So it was 10 times up there what he was making down there, even though it didn't seem like a high impact activity. Make sense? And then we want to stay up as much as possible on in the top right-hand corner there. And this is really asset creation. This might be creating marketing assets. It might be really, building out your team in a lot of respects. And then there's another zone up the top there, which I call your genius zone. So if you're able to really operate in high growth, high impact activities all the time, I call that the genius zone. Okay. So I don't know. We're happy to do this for a couple of minutes, and maybe what you can do, just to give you some insights out of today, is have a look at that and put your activities from the last week, right, into that and see where they land. At least see where you think they land, right? Just do a quick audit. So can we do 2 minutes and then we're done? All right, let's keep going because we're pretty much at the end. But this is a really good exercise to do to make sure that firstly you're operating above the line, but the second thing is, like I said, how many of the activities, when you audit your activities, how many of them are aligned with the actual EHR goal that you set? Right? And if I look at lots of businesses, the activities that they're doing are not really aligned with the goals that they've got. Okay. That's just showing you about how much you're going to get paid for each one of those activities. That's it. So like I said, there's that insights and takeaways section just in the back of your book. Love you to fill that out just to make sure that you've got some sort of takeaways. If you've got some action items, that's amazing. And if you've got any questions, I've kind of gone a little bit over, so you're welcome to grab my details, come and speak with me afterwards, or organise a chat at some stage. Like I said, those feedback forms would be amazing if we could get you to fill those out as well. Was that helpful? Yeah? Okay. The event enjoyable? Yeah? Awesome. So it's not over yet. I think there's maybe some food out there. And we'll all be floating around there. And we're open for a chat, obviously. I want to thank everyone for coming to this event today. It actually took quite a bit of effort to get this thing going, funny enough, but I'm hoping that we can have a few more of these and we'll be able to see you all back again for another event. So thank you very much.